Hi everyone, we're going to do another one of our strategic updates. And look, I think today we thought we'd just take the opportunity to run through. We've got a new government. They formed government, didn't they? Got more than the 76 seats required. And so as a result, they promised a whole bunch of things leading up to the election, and we thought we might run through some of those and how they might potentially impact you guys as clients. So let's start running through it, Lynn.
Sure.
We've got a summary up here, and we'll send all this out for you guys so you get an opportunity to work your way through it. But I guess the first proposal was actually quite interesting. So it was a freezing of deeming rates. So those of you that are impacted by this is particularly around social security benefits. So the deeming rates had been set at what was essentially a really low level, weren't they?
Yeah,
So,
since 1996.
Really?
It's the lowest since 1996.
Wow. Okay, so and that had for a single person, for a couple, first 53,000, you're deemed to only earn in interest 0.25%. Then anything above that, 2.25%. Now the Labor government have said, what have they said, Lynn? They've said that they're going to freeze deeming rates for the next 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's very comforting to know because, at the moment the market is very uncertain. So there are lots of speculation on how the market would go. So it's a very good policy to give some certainty on how this would impact age pension, especially like the one who are income tested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
right. And that's what deeming rates are really all about. It's there's two tests for age pension, particularly. There's the assets test and the income test. We're not talking about the assets test, we're talking about the income test.
Yeah.
So typically applicable for those clients that have superannuation pensions being paid. Anyway, that's a good one. Now, whether any of this actually happens is another thing.
Yes, I guess probably it will because it is supported by the previous government already.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So most likely, it will go ahead.
But it's Peter Dutton now, so we'll see. Okay, now Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. So this is, I actually kind of like this one. This is okay. So that's being taken up to, potentially for a single person, $90,000. So you could be eligible, if you're a self-funded retiree, you could be eligible up to $90,000.
Exactly.
In terms of income being earned.
That's a big increase, huh?
Significant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then for a couple, $144,000 of income. So that is really significant and kind of unexpected as far as I was concerned.
The data says about 50,000 people would have benefited from this scheme. Like
really?
Yes, the number says that. So
you might otherwise call that vote. Very good. All right. Do you want to run through this one, or are you happy for me to?
Happy for you too.
Okay. So this one is around extending the exemption if you sell your home and you're on age pension benefits. You typically had a 12-month period where it didn't impact your Centrelink in terms of your ability to receive Centrelink benefits. That's actually going to be extended by an additional 12 months. So you're actually looking at 24 months. You used to be able to apply. So you used to be able to apply to say, oh, we haven't found a new home yet. So but if you deal with Centrelink, that would take almost 4 days. So in this instance, it's actually going to be extended to 24 months as opposed to 12 months. So that's again another good thing, and probably interacts with the downsizer contribution, which I know we'll chat about in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. One thing to bear in mind is this may have impact on your age pension entitlement. So definitely talk to a financial advisor before you decide what to do, because you may lose your age pension depending on how you invest or what you're going to do with your home proceeds.
That's right, with the proceeds. Okay. So some other government proposals or current government proposals were around what's called the Regional First Home Buyer Support Scheme. So you'll be eligible for this. I think there's up to 10,000 first home buyers that can be eligible for this in a regional area. So firstly, it has to be, when you're buying the place, you have to be buying a place outside a capital city. Secondly, you need to have been living in the regional area for at least 12 months. Be over 18, live in the property that you've purchased, and then also have a taxable income of up to $125,000 for a single person or $200,000 for a member of a couple. Now, what it actually is the government will guarantee up to 15% of the purchase price, which the benefit for this is it essentially means that there's no lender's mortgage insurance which will be payable. So, an amazing outcome if you're in that position, because that can be really significant in terms of cost. Sometimes sort of another 5 or 8% on top of the home loan, on top of the total asset price. So that's a good one. I quite like that.
Yep.
And Lynn, I know you've done a bit of research on this one, so do you want to talk us through what the Help to Buy scheme is?
Oh, this is the probably most interesting policy for the new government, huh? So essentially, it's a scheme designed specifically to help low or medium income earner with a low deposit saved up to purchase their property, and the government will contribute up to 40% and eventually become a joint owner of your property. And there is price limit depending on where you live, and there's also certain criteria you have to meet in order to be eligible for this scheme.
Right.
This is a huge thing. It's not unheard of.
So hang on. So
yeah,
up to 40% of the value of a home.
exactly.
So if I go and buy a $10 million, not that I could do this, if I go and buy a $10 million home, the government will guarantee $4 million.
No, there's a price limit at the moment.
A $10 million home
Can't be that good. So yeah, there's a price limit. For example, it's shown on the next slide. For example, in Cine, the current limit is 950,000, and for a house in Cine, and only up to 40% if it's a new home, and if it's an existing home, it's only up to 30%.
30%.
That's very interesting.
Still significant though, isn't it?
Yes, but there's one interesting thing. There's certain rules regarding who are eligible, and the big one is the income test.
Okay.
So you have to be earning less than 90,000 as an individual, or up to 120,000 as a couple.
Yep.
That's probably the most important requirement to meet. It's very interesting because for someone, an individual who earn up to 90%, and if you're buying a property in Cine for 950,000 and you pay up to 2% as a deposit, the government would support you, for example, 30% for existing home. You still need to borrow the rest of the money from the bank, and that will work out to be almost like 650,000.
Yep.
So how likely is it to get it approved?
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess it needs to be tested, doesn't it? So and certainly we'll have a chat with a few of our colleagues that work in banks. But I think if you think about what that actually means, if your income is 120,000 a year combined, then you're left with probably 90 after tax. Your home loan repayments on a $650,000 property will be about $3,500 a month. So that's $3,500 a month times 12, 36, 42,000 a year in mortgage repayments.
Bit
it's
hard.
getting tight, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Another interesting thing is the threshold for a couple is only 120,000 versus 90,000 for
a single person.
Yeah, for a single person.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you won't be surprised. Like, the majority of homeowners, they're couples. And there will be more people as an individual who earn less than 90,000 than a couple who earn less than 120.
Yeah, it's true.
So
more
basically,
likely to be taken up by single people, you think?
single people will be more likely to benefit from this scheme.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because of that income threshold. And you only have to have a 2% deposit. So, so let's say, I mean, we use their own figures here, and in Victoria, $850,000 property price cap. So let's say it's 800. 2% of 800,000 is $16,000.
Yeah.
So you only need a $16,000 deposit.
Exactly.
Whereas in the past, that would have been $160,000 you would need to have had. But it's pretty exciting. Like it's exciting for first home buyers.
Totally.
Really.
But then you need to ask, what's the catch? When things look so good, you probably need to think about what's the consequences. Like, do you feel comfortable owning your own home with the government?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a valid point, right? Like,
Yeah.
so probably not. But if I haven't got a choice,
Yeah, exactly.
what's the downside? I mean, so the downside, well, I suppose the downside is you can't make the home loan repayments.
Yeah, that's true.
And now, of course, and a lot of this is it's not yet legislated, so we don't actually know how it's going to look. Part of me thinks, well, you know, is there an opportunity there? Like, you know, I'm just imagining a situation where, okay, so it's March, and I've earned I'm a single person. I've already earned $85,000.
Yes.
I might go to Europe for 3 months and not earn any more money, and take advantage of this because I only need a $16,000 deposit. Like,
exactly.
This is a.
But there's one thing to point out. It says when you start to earn more than 90,000 in 2 years in a row, you may end up paying back. You may have to pay back the government slowly because.
Oh, really?
Yeah, currently it says. What is it? It's not on the slides. Like, you are required to start to pay back the government ownership once you start to exceed, like, go above the income threshold. I think
you are required.
You are required. It's very interesting. I was paying attention to the
that.
wording. Like, you are actually required.
Yeah, interesting.
So that would open up much more possibility. What if I end up getting married or having a promotion?
What happens then? Do you have
exactly.
to go and buy?
So
and I suppose that's the thing with all these things. Like, they're all what ifs. Like, we don't actually
exactly.
know.
I think that's the downside of it. Is you lose certain flexibility.
And what happens when you sell the house? I suppose you've got to give the
Exactly.
all the growth. So if you've bought a place worth 500 and that's grown to be worth $1 million in 5 years' time, great purchase. And the government's lent you 30% of that. Then the government gets 30% of the proceeds. So they might have lent you 150, and now they're getting 300 back.
I think that's
$300,000
probably
back.
one of the main reasons the government is rolling out a scheme to make some money out of it. So that's
Who knows?
yeah. How would you feel?
Well,
like,
I mean, that's if the property market goes up, right?
Yeah, of course.
And if, of course, you know, in Australia, apparently property prices don't fall. We know it's not the case. But you know, if property prices go up, if property prices fall, that will also make a significant difference. I suppose the other thing too, as we were chatting about earlier, if 10,000 people a year take this up, because it's eligible for 10,000 people a year, 10,000 people a year, and they all borrow. There's an equity loan of $200,000 with the government. So what's 10,000 times 200,000? 20 billion.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
I need that.
I think it's 20 billion. Yeah.
Yes.
There's lots of zeros there. So 20 billion, and you times that by 10 years. So that occurs each year, and of course those amounts get larger and larger. We could be talking about $200 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
That the government is essentially investing in the Australian property market.
That's right.
So, and I suppose the other thing that impacts is, what does this do to house prices?
You know what? I thought about it because it's a very common debate. People say, "Oh, it will dry up the property market. You have more demand." But an interesting I looked up is leading up to August 2021 in Australia, there were around 600,000 properties sold. So if you look at the big picture,
So 10,000 or 600,000.
Yeah, 10,000 is only less than 2% of the whole.
Not that significant, is it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's significant enough to change the property price. But an interesting is, it depends on your individual experience. If you are competing with someone else who are also eligible for the scheme, both of you have a higher budget. So in your own experience, you probably would experience a house price because just a certain area you're interested in, or there are particular properties you want to buy, you have the same group who are also eligible and they're competing with you. So it is possible you will experience a property price increase, but if we look at the bigger picture, 2% of the whole property sale will be benefiting from the scheme. Probably is not enough drive for the whole
It
market.
doesn't seem that significant by
Yeah,
numbers,
exactly.
but I do wonder if it starts to compete up
Yeah.
that, well, not the bottom end, but the lower end of the market.
Exactly.
And so it starts to see that.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like builders would be quite happy about something like this, right? Although they're all too busy now as it is. But, so, yeah, I mean, it's fascinating policy, and whether it actually happens or not in this form, who knows, but we'll be sure to keep you updated as a result.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a good one. All right. And then I guess the final one that might be a bit different to how things currently are is there's the government's proposing that the eligibility age for the downsizer contribution to super drops from what was 65 to now where it's currently sitting at 60, drops to 55 from 1 July, so next month. So you sell the family home that you've been in for 10 years, there's an opportunity to get some money into superannuation that doesn't count against your non-concessional contribution caps as well. So interesting, again, got to see it legislated. So we haven't got a lot of time on this one.
Yeah, we start to see a trend now, huh? Like they removed the work test initially, and now they are extending the downsizing contribution.
Yes.
Seems like they are really trying to encourage people to put more money into superannuation.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. Well, they encourage them to take money out, not so.
That's really conflicting message.
Different government.
Oh.
Different government.
They encourage young people to take money out from the superannuation, and then they encourage older people to put more money in. I think that's the trend.
All right, look, that's just our update
Yep.
for today. We'll catch up with you guys again in a couple of weeks. Anything interesting happens, we'll push it out there. But yeah, we just thought we'd give you a quick update as to the Labor government proposals, but let's see if they're legislated. So, thanks very much, everyone. We'll chat soon.